And Joe, on the debt ceiling, you said they'd get there, but how'd they finally do it?
They had no choice. They got there. And, we live in this world that's designed, this political world that's designed to promote discord, division, hatred, where our political opponents are actually our sworn enemy. And I do know that there are far too many people who want to set aside democratic elections. We saw it happen on January the 6th. There is much to mourn about the direction that some have decided to take this country in. But you look, Willie, and you see that you actually have in Joe Biden and here Kevin McCarthy, but you have a Democratic president and a Republican Senate and now House that have worked together in pretty historic ways over the past year and a half, getting bipartisan legislation. And let's look at Kevin McCarthy really quickly here. This is Kevin McCarthy, who many said for quite some time, for good reason, were concerned that he was going to go sideways on supporting freedom fighters in Ukraine. We heard him shut down that Russian reporter, said, get out of their country, stop killing their children, stop committing war crimes. And here, the nation's economy was on the line. And, he behaved responsibly. Biden behaved responsibly. They were grown-ups. And so, again, we should worry about things that we should worry about. But there are days we should wake up and say, you know what? Things are getting done. And it's not always quite as bleak and catastrophic as people who get paid a lot of money to say it is, on whether it's cable shows or online or in podcasts or in political speeches or in books. Sometimes grown-ups are actually in charge in Washington, D.C., and things get done.
Yeah, this is a serious moment that required seriousness from its politicians. And so far, anyway, from the leadership, we've gotten that from the president. Speaker McCarthy yesterday, after announcing the deal a couple of days ago, went out of his way to thank the president's team for their professionalism and for the way they conducted themselves during the negotiation. So there are still votes to count here. They're going to have to cobble it together, but they have to get to 218. It looks like they will. But Jonathan Lemire, obviously, as Joe said, the usual suspects are throwing their bombs and sending their tweets and everything else about Kevin McCarthy having abandoned the Freedom Caucus with this deal and saying this is the end of civilization and et cetera, et cetera. But it does look like, I say this a little bit hesitantly because we don't know where it's headed, in the next 24 hours or 36 hours, that they will get to 218 to get this thing passed.
Yeah, the House starts bringing it up today. Vote tentatively slated for tomorrow. We're not quite sure when the Senate will take it up, probably the day or two after that. Whip operations in both parties feel pretty confident that they'll get there. To your point, yes, there are extremists on the right who have made it very clear they want nothing to do with this, and they're throwing bombs left and right on Twitter. Press conferences saying this is a disaster of a deal. It's a Democratic blank check was among the rhetoric used. I believe also turd sandwich was tossed about. And we've got some progressives on the left who are also expressing some concerns, saying that they don't like this bill either. But the White House sort of expected that would be the case. But they do feel like, and a major group of centrist Democrats yesterday, nearly 100 of them, came out and said they like this bill. They're going to support it. They feel like they'll get there. And it is a moment of bipartisanship. Biden and McCarthy really had no relationship going into this, but they've been able to work together. And it's another moment here where President Biden, who said, my whole agenda is going to be trying to work across the aisle, even in this polarized time, and he's been able to pull it off on a number of occasions. Yeah, I mean, Joe, you have some senators, people that you could predict saying this, some Republican senators acting like they've never negotiated in Washington before, saying, I won't vote against this because I didn't get every single last thing that I wanted, and, going on their podcasts and talking about that. But having been up on the Hill for many years, that sometimes you take what you can get, you give what you can get, and you make a deal to help the country pay its bills.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I've been a backbencher, and my hair's been on fire, and the Republic's falling if we do this or that or the other. But after being up there for about 6 months, I turned to a friend of mine who was in the freshman class. I go, it's funny. We keep saying the world's going to come to an end if this bill passes or that. We're still here, aren't we? At some point, they just aren't going to believe us anymore. Right. So maybe we should stop throwing bombs. I got to say,